Under the dying glow of a collapsing star, Captain Rhea Valerian stood on the edge of oblivion. With stormy eyes and a heart ablaze with fury, she clutched the cold metal of her ship's railing as Nova Tycho's rusted warships loomed like relics of a forgotten war. The bitter scent of charred metal and lost honor filled the air, igniting memories of betrayal and unspeakable loss. In that electrifying moment, Rhea vowed to reclaim her shattered past and ignite the spark of rebellion. Rhea's gaze swept over the desolate panorama of Nova Tycho, a planet scarred by the ravages of time and conflict. The horizon was a tapestry of jagged silhouettes, decaying structures, broken landing platforms, and warships suspended in silent orbit like ancient tombstones. Each vessel bore the scars of battles fought long ago, their once proud hulls now mottled with rust and despair. The low hum of distant machinery and the occasional creak of metal against metal provided a haunting soundtrack to the endless twilight that enveloped the forsaken world. As she walked slowly along the observation deck of her battered flagship, the chill of the metal beneath her fingertips was a constant reminder of both the fragility and the resilience of hope. The atmosphere was heavy with the acrid tang of burnt fuel and the faint metallic odor of blood, a cocktail of scents that transported her back to the bitter day of betrayal. That day, when trusted allies turned into enemies and promises dissolved into the dust of shattered dreams, had forged an indelible scar upon her soul. The memory was as vivid as the sparks that danced in the vacuum of space, each flicker a testament to the cost of lost honor. Nova Tycho, once a thriving nexus of interstellar trade and military might, now lay in ruins, a bleak relic of an empire that had crumbled under the weight of its own corruption. The planet's once vibrant cities had been reduced to silent ruins, their glass towers shattered and their corridors echoing with the ghosts of laughter and life. In stark contrast to the chaotic remnants of war, the natural beauty of the planet still whispered of a time when hope was as abundant as the stars above. Craggy mountains framed the horizon, and faint emerald luminescence seeped through the dust of a long-forgotten biosphere, suggesting that even in decay life clung stubbornly to existence. Rhea's thoughts churned as she remembered the fateful moment when she had first witnessed the duplicity of those she had once called comrades. In the frigid corridors of an abandoned command center, a secret meeting had unveiled the true betrayal, the sale of their most advanced warships to powers that would use them to maintain control rather than defend. That revelation had ignited a fire within her, a resolve to dismantle the chains of corruption and restore dignity to a people betrayed. Each scar on her weathered face told a story of sacrifice and loss, of battles fought not just in the cold vacuum of space but in the very depths of human trust. The silence of Nova Tycho was broken only by the distant rumble of engines starting up in defiance of the dying light, a sound that stirred both dread and anticipation. As Rhea stood lost in reflection, the wind carrying whispers of old battles and long-forgotten heroes caressed her face as if urging her forward. It was a summons from the universe itself, a call to arms that resonated deep within her core. Every fiber of her being pulsed with a mixture of sorrow and steely determination, the echoes of a past too painful to forget, yet too potent to let go. In that moment, amid the ruins of a shattered civilization and under the watchful gaze of a faltering star, Captain Rhea Valerian embraced her destiny. The painful memories of betrayal merged with a fierce determination to reclaim the honor that had been stolen from her people. With a final resolute look at the sprawling decay below, she whispered a vow to the silent void, a promise that Nova Tycho would rise again from the ashes of its former glory. The spark of rebellion had been ignited, and there was no turning back. In the labyrinthine corridors of Nova Tycho's abandoned spaceport, the hum of long-forgotten machinery intertwined with the whisper of secrets. Dust motes swirled in the feeble light of malfunctioning panels, their flickering glow revealing peeling paint and the scars of time. Rhea led her small band of rebels into a concealed alcove, tucked away behind stacks of obsolete equipment, a sanctuary from prying eyes and the oppressive silence of the outer ruins. The air was heavy with the scent of rust and decay, each breath a reminder of battles past and promises broken. Seated around a cracked metal table littered with maps and faded holograms, Ria's presence filled the dim room. Her eyes, smoldering with both defiance and sorrow, scanned the assembled faces of those who had dared to trust her. In this moment, the clamor of betrayal grew almost tangible, a weight pressing down on every soul in the room. With a voice as husky as the static echoing from old speakers, she began, "They sold us rusted warships to line their pockets," her words dripping with bitterness. Each syllable carried the sting of treachery, resonating deeply within the hearts of her comrades. As she recounted the events that had shattered her faith, vivid memories played out behind her eyes. The flash of cold, clinical betrayal in an abandoned command center, the murmured promises that dissolved like vapor, and the final heart-wrenching moment when trust was replaced by ruthless ambition. The confession wasn't merely a tale of lost honor. It was a rallying cry against the system that had forsaken them. Around her, faces etched with grief and resolve listened intently, their eyes mirroring the shared anguish of a people betrayed. In the dim glow of that hidden sanctuary, every creak of the ancient metal, every distant groan of failing circuitry, amplified the pervasive sense of loss. Yet, beneath the sorrow lay a simmering determination, a collective vow that the shadows of betrayal would be illuminated by the fire of retribution. Ria's voice softened for a moment, revealing the depth of her personal torment. "I have seen what corruption can do," she confessed, her tone laced with vulnerability. "But together, we can forge a new future from these ruins." Outside, the derelict spaceport groaned under the weight of its haunted past. Every rivet and panel seemed to echo the names of fallen allies, the memories of promises that never came to pass. In that claustrophobic enclave of despair and defiance, Ria's words kindled a fragile hope, a spark that promised to grow into an unquenchable blaze. As her confidants exchanged solemn nods, the room pulsed with the unspoken promise of revolution. The betrayal that had once shattered their trust now forged an unbreakable bond among them, a determination to reclaim their stolen honor, no matter the cost. Deep within the labyrinthine belly of an abandoned orbital hangar, a silence as profound as the void itself reigned. Amidst a tangle of shadow and forgotten machinery, the silent destroyer lay dormant, a hulking relic of a bygone era, its metal skin mottled with rust and the scars of time. Then, as if stirred by an unseen command, the stillness shattered. A low, resonant hum began to emanate from deep within the vessel, a sound that rippled through the cold corridors and sent shivers cascading along every riveted plate. The hum grew steadily, evolving into a throbbing pulse that vibrated the very air around it. Flickering lights along the warship's spine burst into life, casting erratic spectral beams that danced over corroded surfaces and deep-shadowed recesses. In the dim glow, ancient inscriptions and symbols, etched by hands long lost to history, glimmered faintly, hinting at the secrets woven into the ship's design. The sound was not merely mechanical. It was as if the vessel was exhaling a long-held breath, awakening from a millennia of enforced slumber. Outside the cavernous hangar, Ria and her trusted crew had gathered, drawn by the magnetic call of destiny. Their faces, bathed in the eerie luminescence of the warship's revival, displayed a tumult of emotions, fear, awe, and an unyielding spark of hope. Ria's eyes narrowed as she stepped closer to the massive hull, her heart pounding in synchrony with the relentless throb of the awakening behemoth. Every creak and groan of the silent destroyer felt like the sound of ancient mechanical muscles stretching, preparing to spring into action. As the warship's internal systems flickered to life, a cascade of data streams illuminated the control panels in the hangar. These holographic displays, filled with cryptic symbols and forgotten languages, told a story of a time when the silent destroyer was both guardian and executioner, a failsafe designed to tip the balance in a universe teetering on the brink of chaos. The ship's revival was not an accident. It was an emergence, a deliberate response to the call of those who still believed in a future beyond tyranny. Within the depths of the ship, corridors once silent began to pulse with energy. The metallic scent of oxidized iron mixed with the sharper tang of ozone as electrical arcs danced along exposed wiring. The sound a cacophony of rhythmic clanks, The whisper of shifting metal and the steady, almost hypnotic drone of reactivated engines filled every corner of the space, merging with the palpable tension in the air. For a moment, it was as if time itself had paused to witness this resurrection, the ship's revival echoing the heartbeat of a long-forgotten empire. Ria's lieutenant, a keen-eyed navigator with a knack for ancient tech, stepped forward, her voice barely audible over the clamor. "It's as if the ship is calling out to us," she murmured, eyes wide with a mix of trepidation and wonder. The room vibrated with the gravity of that statement. Here lay a machine that could either be the harbinger of salvation or the embodiment of annihilation. Each rebel, scarred by betrayal and hardened by loss, felt the weight of that possibility. The silent destroyer was more than metal and circuitry. It was a living archive of power, waiting to be unleashed upon those who dared to control it. In that charged moment, the boundaries between past and present blurred. The hangar, with its layers of dust and echoes of ancient conflict, transformed into a sanctum of rebirth. The awakening of the silent destroyer symbolized not just the resurgence of formidable technology, but the rekindling of a fire that had long been thought extinguished, a fire that might finally illuminate the path to reclaiming honor and justice. Ria's resolve hardened like tempered steel. She knew that this moment was the turning point in their struggle. The silent destroyer, with its resounding roar and awakening fury, was now a beacon, a testament to the enduring spirit of resistance, a promise that the fight against tyranny was far from over. Beneath Nova Tycho's scarred surface, where crumbling concrete and twisted metal merged into shadowed corridors, an underground bunker pulsed with a rare, defiant warmth. Flickering holotables cast erratic beams of blue and green light over a gathering of rebels, faces etched with loss, determination, and the quiet resolve of those who had seen too much betrayal. The hum of ancient machinery, its energy waning yet persistent, blended with the low murmur of hushed voices, creating a backdrop of suspense and purpose. At the center of the room, Captain Ria Valerian stood tall and unyielding. Her eyes, once stormy with grief, now burned with the fierce promise of retribution. The air was thick with the scent of ionized air and dust, a tangible reminder of the years spent hidden from a tyrannical regime. With every measured step, the metallic clink of her boots on the cold, reinforced floor echoed like a call to arms. Ria's gaze swept across the gathered resistance, a motley crew of battle-hardened warriors, engineers with quick, clever hands, and ex-soldiers whose silence spoke volumes of past sacrifices. The holographic displays around them shimmered with maps of enemy outposts and schematics of repurposed, advanced weaponry, salvaged from the wreckage of the old empire. In this clandestine sanctum, the very air vibrated with the anticipation of revolution. Ria's voice, clear and resonant, broke through the quiet tension. "We have been forsaken by those in power for too long," she declared, her tone a blend of sorrow and steely resolve. "Today we reclaim our honor. Today we harness the might of the silent destroyer to topple Admiral Kor's regime." Her words, simple yet searing, rippled through the gathered souls, igniting a spark of hope that shone in every determined eye. A murmur of agreement swept through the room as one of the rebels, a veteran with scars mapping decades of battle, spoke up, his tone gravelly with emotion. "We risk everything," he said, "but a future built on corruption is no future at all." His words merged with the low hum of the holograms, as strategies began to unfold. Charts of enemy fleets and battle formations were debated passionately. Risks were meticulously weighed against the burning need for change. In one corner, a young technician, her hands still trembling from the shock of her recent losses, adjusted the projection of enemy strongholds. Her eyes met Ria's in a silent exchange, where fear transformed into a resolve as radiant as the flickering lights. "Our enemies believe us broken," she murmured, her voice barely a whisper yet laced with defiant courage. "We will prove that even in our darkest hours, our spirit remains unyielding." As plans solidified and debates cooled into decisive nods, the bunker seemed to breathe with the collective heartbeat of a people ready to reclaim their destiny. Every whispered strategy, Every shared glance became a stitch in the tapestry of rebellion. The oppressive legacy of Admiral Kor's regime was palpable, but so too was the promise of a new dawn, one forged not from the remnants of past betrayals, but from the unbreakable will of those who dared to dream of a just and honorable future. In that secret, underground enclave, the call to rebellion was more than a meeting. It was a rebirth of hope. The quiet clamor of resolve, the steady cadence of determined voices, and the glimmering holograms, mapping out their destiny, converged into a single resounding promise. Nova Tycho would rise again, and its people would no longer be silenced by fear. The void above Nova Tycho ignited into chaos as rebel forces surged against Admiral Kor's formidable fleet. In the deep black of space, explosions erupted like supernovas against a backdrop of a dying star, each burst of light and debris dancing in a macabre ballet of destruction. The silence of the cosmos was shattered by the furious roar of laser fire, echoing as a relentless drumbeat in the void. Amid the tempest of chaos, the silent destroyer surged forward like a dark leviathan reawakened. Its colossal form cut through the void with a purpose, a monument to vengeance and rebirth. The warship's battered hull shone with an eerie luminescence as its reactivated energy cores pulsed in time with the heartbeats of those who dared to hope. Metal groaned under the strain of relentless fire, and rivets, long corroded by time, gave way to the violent symphony of battle. On the bridge of her flagship, Captain Rhea Valerian's eyes blazed with fierce determination as she surveyed the unfolding carnage. Amid the cacophony of clashing fleets, her steady voice rang out over the comm channels, slicing through the dissonance with authority. "Hold the line. We fight not just for survival, but for the honor of those we've lost." Each word reverberated like a rallying cry, imbuing her crew with renewed courage as they maneuvered their battered vessels amidst the fiery onslaught. Every tactical order, every desperate maneuver, was underscored by the palpable weight of a civilization's hope. In the void where every spark of light could be the last, Rhea's resolve was as unyielding as the metal of her ship. She skillfully directed the battle, her commands crisp and measured even as explosions rocked the space around her. The silent destroyer, once a relic of an age long past, now became the linchpin in the rebels' daring counteroffensive, a symbol of retribution, its every move a defiant snarl at the tyranny that sought to subdue them. Between the roaring clashes of energy beams and the whir of desperate engines, a sudden holographic transmission flashed onto the main screen, a cold, calculating image of Admiral Severin Kor. His face, etched with the arrogance of unyielding power, appeared in stark contrast to the raw, unfiltered emotion that flooded Rhea's features. Their eyes locked through the void, an unspoken confrontation of ideals surging between them. "You've come to waste your life on hope, Rhea." Kor's voice hissed through the channel, dripping with disdain. "This rebellion is a folly, destined to be crushed beneath the weight of order." His words, cold and precise, seemed to echo against the vacuum, as if attempting to mute the fierce thunder of rebellion. Rhea's retort was swift and resolute. "Hope is the spark that ignites change, Admiral. Today we reclaim not just our honor, but our very future." Her voice, unwavering even as the battlefield roared around them, carried the fervor of countless souls whose dreams had been sacrificed at the altar of corruption. The exchange crackled with raw emotion, a clash of wills as piercing as the laser beams that streaked across the dark expanse. Below, the rebel fleet wove intricate patterns through the chaos, every maneuver executed with precision born of desperation and unwavering resolve. Shattered fragments of ancient warships and swirling clouds of ionized gas provided a dramatic stage for the epic confrontation. The rebels, unified by a shared vision of renewal, engaged in a desperate dance against overwhelming odds, each pilot and soldier a vital note in the grand symphony of defiance. As the battle raged, the fabric of space seemed to shudder under the strain of conflicting destinies. The intense heat of nearby explosions merged with the chilling cold of deep space, creating an environment where every sense was heightened. The distant roar of colliding fleets mingled with the intimate whispers of valor and sacrifice. Amid this chaos, the silent destroyer surged forward, its engines emitting a sound like the heartbeat of a giant, a constant reminder that in the darkest of nights, a single spark could change the course of history. In that moment, every rebel fighter, every soul aboard the vessels clashing in the dying light, became a testament to the indomitable human spirit. The battle was more than a fight for survival. It was a struggle to reclaim a future torn apart by betrayal and tyranny. Each flash of light from exploding warships, every fragment of metal drifting through space, told a story of loss, defiance, and the relentless pursuit of redemption. As laser fire and debris filled the void, Captain Rhea Valerian stood at the helm of hope, her silhouette a beacon of resilience against the encroaching darkness. The battle, raging with the fervor of 1,000 lost dreams, was far from over. Yet in every burst of light, in every command shouted over the din of destruction, there was an undeniable promise, the promise that from the ruins of the past a new dawn would emerge. As the echoes of battle faded into a quiet, hallowed silence, the vast emptiness of space began to yield to the gentle promise of a new day. Amid the debris of shattered warships and the ghostly trails of laser fire, the survivors of Novateco gathered, tired, scarred, yet resolute. The once tumultuous void now softened under the first rays of a reborn sun, its light bathing the battered fleet and the ruined cityscape in hues of gold and gentle warmth. Captain Rhea Valerian, her uniform stained with the remnants of cosmic strife and tears unshed, stood on the crumbling edge of a collapsed observation deck. Her eyes, reflecting both the pain of loss and the hope of renewal, scanned the horizon as the new light of dawn crept over the horizon. Each beam of sunlight revealed a landscape in transformation. Where destruction had reigned, tender sprouts of resilience began to emerge, nurtured by the promise of rebirth. The air, once thick with the acrid tang of burning fuel and the metallic scent of despair, now carried the refreshing aroma of ionized hope, a delicate blend of ozone and the soft, dewy fragrance of emerging life. In the distance, survivors set about clearing the remnants of conflict, their movements deliberate and imbued with a collective determination to rebuild what had been so mercilessly torn apart. Amid the wreckage, small fires of reclamation flickered, symbolizing the eternal human desire to rise from the ashes. Rhea's mind wandered back to the fierce battle, a maelstrom of valor and agony, and yet she knew that each sacrifice had been the seed from which this new era would sprout. She recalled the piercing gaze of Admiral Kor, the shattering of old orders, and the resounding defiance that had echoed in the void. Now, with the silent destroyer gently pulsing like a dormant giant in the background, she felt that the cosmos itself had whispered a solemn promise of redemption. Gathering her closest lieutenants and the most steadfast of her crew, Rhea stepped forward to address the weary assembly. Her voice, though tempered by grief, resonated with an unyielding spirit. Today, we stand on the precipice of a future forged by our own hands, she declared, her words carrying across the hushed crowd. In the ruins of our past, we have found the strength to imagine a new world, one where betrayal has no dominion and hope reigns supreme. Her declaration, sincere and stirring, rippled through the gathering like a lifeline cast into troubled waters. In the hours that followed, the remnants of Nova Tycho's fractured society, united in acts both grand and humble. Engineers and artisans, once soldiers bound by duty, now labored together to salvage precious fragments of technology and culture. They repaired broken circuits and mended the warped metal of ancient warships, transforming relics of oppression into symbols of resilience and progress. Conversations flowed with plans for a renewed community, a place where every citizen would be both guardian and builder of their shared destiny. Meanwhile, high above the surface, the celestial tapestry continued its slow, majestic transformation. The dying star, having borne witness to millennia of conflict and silence, now shone with a subdued brilliance, a reminder that even in decline light persists. This cosmic luminescence mirrored the resolve of those below, each ray a testament to the power of renewal and the unbreakable bond of shared struggle. As the planet stirred with the promise of rejuvenation, Rhea walked slowly through the quiet remnants of the once bustling spaceport. Her steps, deliberate and measured, left impressions on the dust-covered floors, a silent record of a journey that had led from despair to a tentative luminous hope. She paused before a mural painted by survivors, a vibrant depiction of a phoenix rising amidst the stars. In that moment, the symbolism of the artwork melded with her own resolve. From the ashes of betrayal and loss, a new legacy would be born. In the soft glow of dawn, the cacophony of past battles was replaced by the tender murmur of rebirth. Rhea's heart, though heavy with memories of what was lost, beat with renewed vigor, a rhythm that echoed the promise of tomorrow. As the first genuine smiles broke through the weariness of her comrades, the silence that enveloped Nova Tycho transformed into a chorus of hope, a silent vow that the cycle of tyranny had been forever broken. At last, as the new day fully claimed the horizon, the rebels and survivors, united by their shared scars and newfound determination, lifted their eyes to the skies. They envisioned a future where honor and compassion guided the course of civilization, where the mistakes of the past would serve as the cornerstone of a just society. In that profound, almost sacred moment, the promise of a new dawn was no longer a distant dream but a palpable reality. The journey had been long and steeped in sorrow, but here, on the brink of a rejuvenated era, the spirit of Nova Tycho soared free, a symbol of resilience and the eternal capacity for change. With hearts united in hope and hands joined in the work of healing, the people of Nova Tycho stepped boldly into the light of tomorrow, their collective will forging the path to a future defined by renewal, justice, and unyielding strength.